Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry I've not uploaded any videos for a little while, but I've been struggling with a recurring chest infection and I keep completely losing my voice. So my voice is back today, my throat's sore, so I may get croaky as we go on. But anyway, I'm going to do another resin video today. A new mould arrived half an hour ago in the post. I'm really excited. It's a gecko mould, so there is a large gecko and two small ones. They've got these lovely little swirly details on there. I don't know whether I will add some paint into that because that will be recessed in the final piece, but I haven't decided yet. What I'm going to do is just use two colours. So I want to do the big one, I think green, and bronze for the smaller ones. Do I want to do it that way around? Actually, I might do bronze for the big one and green for the smaller ones. In my ammonite video, I used Vista 1 resin, which I'm going to be using today. But last time I added black pigment to that, and this time I want to try it without any black because I think having a slight translucence behind might be nicer for geckos, but I've not done any resin without a black pigment in, so I just want to have a go at that. I used the rice method. I filled these as best I could with rice. Very hard to do with all these intricate bits, but it came out about 80 mils of rice. So I'm going to mix up just a little bit more than that, and then I'll keep the ammonite mould handy just in case I've got any extra to pour in there. So I'm going to get started by brushing some of that mica powder into the mould. So let's go. So last time I learned my lesson because I was using the same brush and just kind of brushing it off on some tissue in between. I had a lot of cross-contamination of colour between my ammonites, which is fine, but this time I'm going to try to keep the two colours separate. So I have two separate brushes here, dry brushes, and I'm just going to pick up some of the mica powder and dust it around the mould and get rid of my hair out of the mould as well because we don't want any hair in there. Yeah, that looks okay now. No rice either. The rice kept getting stuck in these little nooks and crannies, and I don't think real geckos have lumps of rice stuck in them, so I had to make sure the mould was nice and clean. So this bronze powder is really, really beautiful, so I'm just going to pick some up and just kind of dab it around. You could really nicely do some kind of ombre effect really with these. I think that would look epic, but I just want to keep it simple for now. This is my first time using these moulds, my first time using the resin without any pigment in it, so I want to just keep everything really simple. So I'm just dusting that in there. Because these moulds have some really intricate bits in them, I'm going to be super careful not to demould too early. I got really excited with the ammonites and I was demoulding just before 24 hours had passed. So I'm making sure that I'm going to get the pigment right up the sides as well, because I think last time I had more pigment on the bottom than in the sides. So I'm going to take my time to do that, try and make sure I've got really good pigment coverage with this powder. Okay, I'm going to weigh my resin now. I'm going to put my respirator on, and so I will either play some music or do a voiceover afterwards so that you can hear what I'm saying. So it's 1:1 ratio, this resin, and these moulds need about 80 mils, so I think I'm going to make up 100 and I'll have my ammonite moulds ready in case I have some extra. the air bubbles. You don't want to burn your silicone mould, but if you're super careful, you can just use a little flame like this and just gently touch over the bubbles. You can sand them out afterwards, but it's easier to just get rid of them. So just touch it. You don't want to burn the surface of the resin. Just gently pass over to get rid of the bubbles. This is the back, so if there are a couple of little bubbles, it's really not the end of the world. A couple of big ones there, and I think we're done. So I will leave the resin to dry on the spatula and in this cup and peel that out and throw it in the bin when we're done. So now I'm going to cover this over and leave it for a full 24 hours because the little feet and the tail on these look like they could be very fragile, and I think if you de-mould before the resin is fully hardened, I can imagine I'm going to bend that and ruin it. So patience. I was really impatient to de-mould my ammonites, so this time I need to be really patient and leave them for the full 24 hours. So I will be back tomorrow. That's just to keep dust and cats off the resin. Okay, it's the next day. It's been just over 24 hours. I usually put a plastic box upside down over the top of these to cover them up and stop dust and cat hair landing in it. Came in and checked them last night and there are 2 cat hairs on the back of the bronze one, so we have 4 cats. There's not much I can do about it. These are for me anyway, so I'm not really bothered, but I could sand that out if I wanted to. So I'm very excited to de-mould these. I've got my little friend here, my gecko. I never go to bed without him, so he's here to watch the proceedings. So let's go. Take that off. These do feel pretty good, so I'm going to take my time here because these moulds have got some very intricate parts and I'm really worried about kind of damaging the tail, so I'm just going to carefully peel around that so that I'm not putting too much pressure on those bits. Coming away okay. I just want to be really careful, first of all not damage my mould, but also to not bend the tails out of shape. So I think particularly this spiral bit is going to be a nightmare to get out without damaging it, which is why you definitely don't want to do this if your resin has any movement in it, because that definitely will bend it out of shape, probably, possibly kink it. Oh, it's a bit scary. I can't get my hands in any other way. I'm going to have to just push up from underneath. It's my first time using the mould. I'm just really nervous of damaging it. It's hard to tell what these are going to look like because I've used clear resin and from the back they are obviously see-through, but hopefully they won't be as transparent because of the mica powder on the top if I ever get this out. Come on. God, if the big one's this hard, the small ones are going to be a nightmare. Oh, nearly. Yes, okay, so let's get this out now. So I'm trying to pull the mould away from the resin rather than pulling the resin out of the mould, if that makes sense, just so that I don't try to risk breaking this in any way. Okay, I'm not going to turn it over yet. Push that down so it lays flat. I'm going to turn them all over together and have a look how they've turned out. Oh, these little ones are going to be a nightmare, I think. Gosh, these are fiddly. So I think getting the gecko out first was better with the small one, so I can kind of work my way around. Ooh, come on. Oh, that middle piece is being such a swine, come on. Okay, so let's push that flat again in case there was any warping getting it out. Okay, one more to go. So the green ones are the same colour as you, Mr. Gecko. You'll be getting jealous. Yes, okay. Oh, that was a workout. Okay, let's turn these over and see what they look like. Oh, they're so adorable. Wow. That one isn't as transparent, but there is still some light behind it, so you can see some of the unevenness in my brushing of the mica powder. But I think he's gorgeous. Oh, look at these little guys. Oh, they're so sweet. These spirals on the back, I haven't decided if I'm going to go in with a paint pen just to make those stand out, but I think because they're so recessed, they actually show up anyway because they've got the shadow on them, and I quite like that. I think they're quite sweet. So I'll bring you in to see them up close. Well, they certainly gave me a workout getting them out of the moulds, but they're so cute. Look at their little eyes. Big paddly feet. Very curly tail. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. These mica powders are not colour shifting, so that is just bronze, but you can see when you hold it up to the light where the excess powder is kind of collected. If the resin was black, you wouldn't see that. But I think it's okay. They're going to be hung on a wall anyway, so I'm not overly worried about that. These little green ones are adorable. Oh, I love them so much. They are much more translucent though. So I think next time I will make them with black resin just to see how they compare, because on the ammonites the colours really pop with the black resin, but I just wanted to have a go at these with them being clear and see how they turned out. I think they're adorable. I really, really like them. What do you think, Mr. Gecko? Has it got the Gecko seal of approval? I think so.